Hello and welcome to the Creabea Knitting Podcast. Hello, welcome back. My name is Rebecca. I'm a knitter and knitwear designer based in Edinburgh, and this is a vlog or a podcast all about knitting, what I'm currently knitting on, what I've been knitting on, and what I'd like to cast on in the not too distant future. I have got so much to talk about today. I've got one finished object, two brand new cast-ons, and a bunch of regular cast-ons that were already on my needles that have had some progress, and a lot of yarn acquisitions. There have been a couple of big yarn deliveries in the last couple of days, and I've got plans for all of it, and I'm excited to talk to you about every single thing. We are starting to get there with the home office studio situation. There is, on this side of me, pure chaos. On Monday, my sofa is getting delivered for the space, and then in October hopefully we'll get some shelving fit in this wardrobe, and then I just have some like a little bits of extra storage to work out. But it's a working functional place and most of my yarn is unpacked. So I've got my desk is huge, it's like 180 centimeters. I love it. And over here we've got all of my storage of yarn, and that was like the bulk of the things to be unpacked. I'm so looking forward to getting my swatches up on this wall. I've got two big cork boards that are getting my swatches on them. That might be a job for this afternoon, if not, it'll be a job for tomorrow. So we're getting there. My plan is to get some studio lighting in here so I can sit nice and cozy on the sofa. But right now I'm sitting right in front of the window and there's very accurate lighting. And I think I look a little bit bright and glowy. So we're going to stay here for now. And I'll just work out over the next couple of weeks where the best place is and how the lighting works and get set up. But I figure no one's going to unfollow because I've got a couple of weeks of intermittent moving around. So let me start with my first finished object, and that is what I'm wearing. It is my finished NYX sweater. So NYX is a top down all over colourwork sweater. I'll put a picture of the full body here. I'm not going to stand up because I'm kind of like wedged into this corner. And it is a collaboration with Ali of Exploring Knits and Fibres, and it is inspired by Hosier. Last year we did the 6th season by inspired by Noah Can, and this year is a Hosier sweater, and I love this, and it is so warm and cozy. It is my first, that's not true, it is not the first all over colourwork sweater I've ever made, but it's the first one I've ever made for me, and it's the first one that was successful, so that says it all really. Sorry, I need to make sure I'm looking to the camera and not looking at myself on the screen because people comment that and I understand the frustration. So yeah, it has all over colourwork. It is all the way down the sleeves. This has been blocked, but I've not woven on any of my ends, so one of the sleeves has got ends coming out of it, but that's fine. It's a problem for later. And this version, the all over version, I've done in two colours inspired by and from the Ireland collection. So Exploring Knits and Fibres generally, well, started doing like travel based. I guess they started with like national parks, and then there were some country ones, and there was an Ireland collection, and this came from the Ireland collection. And the two colours are Woolly, which is the sort of paler colour, and My Guinness. And I wanted for the Oliver one to have a slightly more neutral palette. I'm desperate for this in black and white. I think it would look so cool in black and white. But yeah, it's actually the first time I've worn it. It's been blocked last week and it's just been sitting waiting because I get a bit nervous about touching anything before it's been like wearing it too much before it's been photographed for the pattern launch, so I've not really touched it. But it's perfect for today. It's pretty cold, it's taken a bit of a chilly turn here, and we've not quite worked out what we're doing for heating, so some rooms are quite warm. This room, the other side of the house, is a lot of sunshine and so it stays pretty toasty, but this side of the room gets the sun later in the day and doesn't get very warm from the sun. So this room is generally pretty cold, and I am the perfect temperature with this double-stranded all over colourwork DK weight knitting pattern. So yeah, that is NYX. It's coming out on, someone asked me yesterday so I looked it up, October 18th, which is like 3 weeks time I think, and I'm really excited and I'm feeling on top of it actually. It's been a very 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 smooth test knit. No issues at all. Like, so I have hiccups. I always get hiccups. I think it's because I start talking and then my body's not used to the relentless talking for an hour and then I start getting hiccups. What was I saying? I was saying no issues at all with this one. It's been a really, really straightforward test knit. The one thing that's just that I was concerned about is just that it's charted, and so if you decide you want to lengthen or shorten something, there's not really space necessarily, and so the pattern instructs you to either lengthen the ribbing or lengthen this 1x1 section, and I was just a bit apprehensive to see how people would take that, but a few people who've used it, some people have taken it out, so they've like taken out the ribbing because they want shorter body. It's on the body as well. And then the sleeve, the sleeves are actually a little bit short on this, and I'm not sure if I blocked it badly or if it just needs to relax a little bit. I'll wear it today and we'll decide. This sleeve is better, this sleeve is definitely on the shorter side. So I might pick up and add an extra few centimetres to the ribbing, because I'm feeling like they're just a little bit, looks like I'm wearing a bit of a shrunken sweater just because of the sleeves. The body's fine. But I think I will, yeah, I think I'll get another block and see if that helps. What was I saying? Oh, the body is shorter than the sleeves, and so there's an extra chart, which is these two stripes basically, that's not on the body. And so if some people have opted to add the sleeve chart to the body to lengthen it if they wanted that. However, let me move on to my first work in progress. Geez, I am struggling today. Let's move on to works in progress, and I'm going to move on to my next works in progress because I'm already talking about next. So as well as all over colour work, there is a yoke only option, and so I'm working up my yoke only option, and oh, it was so much fun. I'm really enjoying this. It's now on stockinette, and for some reason I'm craving texture right now, so I'm not picking this up, but I need to get going. I didn't finish in time so I can launch the pattern, but I'm getting there. I just finished the yoke this week. Is this the front? I think that's the back. What's the front? There we go. It's looking a little bit muddier. The green is not really singing on the camera in the way it does in real life. It definitely pops. It's quite a neon-y green. It's quite vibrant. This is the colour of the green. Yeah, it's getting a little bit washed out. It's a very, very vibrant green. It is Big Dill from the Farmers Market collection. And then the blue is this, which is Spirulina from the Farmers Market collection. So interestingly, these weren't necessarily the yards I was going to start with. I started with, sorry, I've just seen a mark. It's not coming off. I started with the bright blue, because I said like a bright blue or a bright pink or like a bright, I'd said like let's do a neutrals and a bright. And then the Farmers Market collection was coming, so Ali had said, okay cool, we've got this one and this one. And then she messaged me and said, I've actually got a different green coming in Farmers Market Collective, could I send you that one instead? And I said, yeah, of course, and I love it. The old green, not the old green, it's still a valid colour, but this has got like a sliminess to it that I really, really like. So that is in the yoke. So the yoke colour work, as you can see, just goes to here, and the rest of it is just all stockinette, which is, I'm really looking forward to it. I've got no plain stockinette knits right now. And I did a folded collar on this one. In the all over colour work, the short rows are in the collar. But on this one, the short rows are underneath at the back once you finish the colour work. So it's got this really clean, oh, can I do this without pulling off the needles? Like, look at that. Very cool, clean, crispy neckline. And I have, my stitch marker is even matching. This is from Songbead, who is Rebecca, who does a lot of my pictures, and she makes incredible jewellery. I'll link it down below, but she also makes some stitch markers. I don't think she has stitch markers in her shop right now, but there were a collection of like 4 little neon ones, so I think a pink, a blue, a yellow and an orange, like a greeny or yellow, and I was just saving this one because I knew it would match my neon green. So yeah, that is next. It was a bit of a, like, I was on a mission to get the colour work finished, and unsurprisingly, as colour work yokes go, you start, I know this is going so fast, it takes me like 2 minutes to do a row, I'm flying through this, and by the last rows you're like, oh, get me past this, and that's how this felt. I have yarn to make a Christmas version, so I'll take a little break I think, and maybe in like November I'll cast on a red and white version for Christmas, which I'm so excited for. But yeah, that is my first work in progress. It's my next. Something that's interesting is that I'm just trying to, I've switched my needle sizes up as I'm going just to make sure that I'm hitting gauge after I finish the colour work. So I went up to, it's a 20 stitch gauge and I'm a very loose knitter. So I think I went up to a 4.5 for the colour work on the yoke. And I'm now down to a 3.75 for the body. And it seems to be bang on gauge, so I will keep going with that and see how we get on. So that is it was funny because I was very excited to get to a project that was plain stockinette, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna love this, I'm gonna fly through this. But I've kind of been enjoying something with a bit of interest and a bit something else going on this week. So it's not, I thought I'd get to the body and then I just fly, like it's all I want to knit on, but actually it's not the thing I'm reaching for first, because I don't know why, because I want something more with more engagement. I want something that's like keeping my brain going. Okay, let's talk about this thing next. It's the middle of a row, so it's not the most ideal thing to show, but I am doing some short rows, so I can't really not be in the middle of a row unless I completely finish it, and I didn't have time to finish it this morning before I started filming. What is the best way to show this? This is my stick season jacket. I don't know if there's any way to show this, it's not going to be awful. Maybe this works. This is my stick season jacket. So the test knit of this has started. It started on Monday, maybe Tuesday. And the stick season jacket is coming out in December, and there are 1001 modifications. It's short, like cropped length, so it like hits right at the hip bone, or there's a longer length, which is like a tunic length. There's a V-neck and a round neck. There is a regular collar and a shawl collar. Folded cuffs, regular cuffs, and then there's an option for texture everywhere, no texture, and yoke only texture. So the sweater that came out last year was yoke only texture. And right, I've finished my first one, so I put a picture of my first one here. I have worn this non-stop. I've kind of broken my no pictures rule, and I'm going to have to be careful because I am wearing it like every single day. I wore it to the beach, it's definitely got some mud on it, and I'm not precious with my knits in general, but I usually am precious with it before I picture it, before I get it photographed. I need to be careful because it's still a while away, and if I keep wearing it the way I'm wearing it, it's definitely a risk of not making it to the photos because, or like, you know, being there but looking a bit scruffy. But it's just cozy and it's just a really simple, easy chuck on layer. So I've been reaching for it a lot. My second sample is from my mum, and I'm already a little bit jealous that this is going to her. And I think she'll wear it much more than I will, but it doesn't feel like a labour of love. I'm loving knitting this. I know I wouldn't wear it as much, but I'm jealous because it looks so cozy and it feels so cozy, and it's such a nice, it's chilly enough that like the weight of this on my lap is like a welcome level of warmth. And so right now I am mid shawl collar. So let me see if I can show you the back. This is the, like I said, the all over texture pattern. So it has all of the versions have the shoulder shaping, and then this is the texture. And this version is the whole thing in this, and it's got this side detailing under the arm. The body has been blocked. Is that right? Did I block this? Yeah, I did block it. I did block it because the edges are really, I don't remember when I did it, but this ribbon would not be as open if I hadn't blocked it. There's a longer length, it's got this like nice deep rib at the bottom, and that runs right into there, which I just love. It's so like crispy. And then yeah, so the yoke only goes to like the sleeve cut off, and there's plain for the rest of it. And that is what the traditional, like the OG stick season looks like. And then this one has a shawl collar. So it's my second attempt at the shawl collar. I knit the first shawl collar. I've never knit a shawl collar before. So I knit it and I blocked it, and then I was like, it's too small. It's just not big enough. So it was quite, there are a lot of incredible resources out there. I really love using like vintage books, like more older books for reference, because they're just so cleanly made. It was so interesting. I was actually looking at a vintage pattern where the shawl collar was knit in 2 halves. But yeah, that's not happening. So we're doing short rows, and so the first time I did it, in my head, like I almost doubled over twice the size, but in reality it just looked so, it looked too small, and the whole vibe of this jacket is like big and cozy and like wrap me up and keep me warm. So we're not quite finished, we're almost there. I put it on scrap yarn last night and tried it, and I was like, this is another few centimetres. This is how deep the shawl collar has become. So that is the back neck, and this is the live stitch bit, but like folded over, it's not that extreme. So it's currently about 20 centimetres, I think. I don't have a tape measure right. Oh, I do have one in here. What do you reckon? I reckon it's about 20 centimetres maybe? Oh no, it's not. It's only 17. So the original plan was that it would be 5 and then doubled over 10 to be at the back. But this bottom ribbing is 9 centimetres. And so what I'm going to do is match the 9 across the front. So I've still got another 3 centimetres to add to the collar. But yeah, I'm very excited. I tried it on last night and it was so close to being perfect. I was like, yes, this is definitely on the right track. So right now we're just working these short rows and I absolutely love it. And I told the testers as they applied, like, the shawl collar is not finished, it will be by the time we get there. But I didn't want to delay the test knit when it's the very last thing that's happening and when I know I'm working on it this week. And my tech editor is standing by to review the shawl collar instructions. If anyone happens to fly through an entire cardigan, it will be there by the end of the week. I am using Rauma Vams. Rauma is my newfound love. We're having an autumnal affair. I'm very into Rauma. It's just a really, really, really good yarn. Now I cannot talk at all to how it wears because I've not worn it yet, but I've heard great things. And I think it's very well known as like a real workhorse yarn in Norway. I get my yarn, and honestly, so much of my yarn from knit.co.uk. I had a few questions last time to what I said. It's knit, as in to knit, but with 2 T's, .co.uk. They just list a lot of great European commercial yarn that I can't really get the colour range, the price, the speedy delivery from anywhere else. And when I found out they were stocking Rauma, I have now since ordered more Rauma from them. They stock other great things like Filcolana, Sandnesgarn, Gepard, Isire, Knitting for Olive. This is not an ad. I think maybe once she put some free stitch markers in a bag, but that was like, I think I probably ordered 50 times from her, so it's just a company I really appreciate and they're great with shipping and they're really good getting back to you. That is where I got this from. The other place in the UK that I know that sells it is My Ivory Room, and they also have a great selection of colours. I feel like they are not quite as well stocked, but it might just be the colours that I was looking for were low at the moment that I looked. This is the colour, I don't know, mid-grey. I don't actually know what it's called. And I don't have a fresh ball anywhere close to me. So, yeah, anyway. It's lovely. It's 83 metres per 100 grams. So it's definitely on like the Aran chunky weight. And I'm getting a 16 stitch gauge with this. And it's a pretty dense fabric, but it's a jacket. So I don't want this to be, my other version is knit in Studio Donegal, soft Donegal, and it is a thinner yarn. And it feels like a cardigan, which is fine. It's the construction of a cardigan. I think what makes it more like a jacket are some of the finishing things, so like a shawl collar, duffel buttons potentially, like some things can make it feel more jacket-like, but I think the main thing is that this is a bit more of a, it's not dense, it's very airy, but it's a more structured, like tactile fabric. Anyway, I love it. One of the acquisitions I have to show is another sweater quantity of this for my third and final sample, which is the yoke only texture and potentially a collar modification, but I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. So yeah, there we go. We're currently very much into the shawl collar. This is all I worked on yesterday and I thought I was done. It was a really late night, Sam was out and I was just anxious because I was home by myself with the puppy and I don't know, I just couldn't really settle till he got back. So normally I would sleep at like 11 and I think I was closer to 1, so I did get a lot more knitting time yesterday, but we're not quite there yet. But I'm really enjoying 2x2 rib at the minute, especially when it's quite chunky. It doesn't bother me at all. Sorry, I've got myself really tangled up here and I'm trying to untangle it, but I think I'm making it worse. There we go. I'm really enjoying it. I'm having no issues with 2x2 rib at all. Sometimes ribbing can feel really like laborious and this is not feeling that way. And I'm keeping that in my Willow Bay bag, which I've talked about a few times now. I think she's put out some that are bright, like this is like a sort of autumnal palette. There's a brighter palette now, I think. And it's a giant bag, which is working well because this is a giant project. I dropped the yarn on the floor, but that's fine. Yeah, so that whole thing, can you hear there's a box of stitch markers in there? Okay, what is next? Sip of coffee first, I think. Okay. There was a point where I thought I might have 2 whole finished sweaters, one of which I had cast on and cast off since I last spoke to you. That has not happened. I don't think I'd cast this on. I think I had a swatch to show last time. I don't think I cast it on. Yeah, I cast it on. we're continuing my Rauma love affair with a whip, which is almost done. Well, it's not, but I still have a sleeve in it, but it has flown off my needles and I am completely obsessed with this sweater. Texture, let's just say texture. I talked about this last time and I showed my previous version of it and I've got no idea where I put it. It's in a box somewhere, so I'm not going to get it. But I had an original version of this, which whenever I share sort of the design process behind it, I always get a few comments that people say they like it. You might be someone who doesn't like it, but I'm gonna explain it a little bit anyway. So a design that I've wanted to do for a while is what I've been calling my varied rib sweater, which is different types of ribbing in like blocks. So like a 2x2 and then a 3x1 and then a 1x1 and da-da-da-da. And that is where this started, and that was going to be this varied rib sweater. So I swatched a lot for this. I have a lot of swatches. I have a stack of swatches beside me. I don't know if it's one of these. Every time I find a swatch right now, it's going into the stack along with the 50 others so I can put them on my board. Okay, this isn't quite it, but it's one of them. So I started getting involved in the texture. Okay, so like I had this situation where I had like ribbing and then like a section in between. And I tried it with like different ribs and I decided I just liked the 2x2 by itself. And so I was like, okay, 2x2 and then like a section of garter in between. And I was testing out like various little like nubs, things like that. Nups, that's the word I'm looking for. I didn't want to do bubbles because I hate knitting bubbles. They look beautiful, but I'm not doing it. Like, it's too much effort for me. I'm not going to enjoy it, and that is such a big part of my design process. Is if I don't enjoy knitting this, it's not becoming a pattern. And I know that some people will enjoy things other people don't, but I'm not going to suffer all the way through a pattern just because I think it's going to look great at the end. Like, I'm not that person. I have in the past knit a swatch and been like, that was torturous. That design I'm excited about is not happening because I don't like the swatch. I've done that more than once actually. But I knit it and I was like, oh, I'm not so sure. I did all the 2x2 rib, but it just felt a bit like uninspired. I wasn't that fussed for it. I was like, well, this is fine. It's a 2x2 rib sweater, but some garter, like whatever. So that's the drawing board, and I tried some texture. So I had this one with this, I think it's called a seersucker stitch. At least that's what my stitch dictionary calls it. Which is like a knit pearl texture. And then I found this one, and I've been playing around with this before. This is called diamond brocade. There's also a version where you have 2 pearls. So this is like a line of pearls, right? A line of pearls. And if you double them up, it's called King Charles brocade. I don't know where these stitch pattern names come from, and my stitch pattern dictionaries are old. I can show you them. I'll get them at the end. I'll try and remember that. Because I ordered physical copies of them all. And I just wasn't that fussed for them. I wasn't that fussed for the first one, and then I tried this. So I tried different techniques, and I decided I really like this diamond brocade here. And then I was also trying to work out a different way to do baubles, like the effect of a bauble, but I didn't really want baubles because I don't want to knit baubles. I don't like baubles, especially those ones where you make the stitches and you go back and forth and da-da-da. Not only do I find them annoying to make, I struggle with them looking neat and tidy, and I know that's going to bother me with the whole sweater if it's not looking neat and tidy. But then I found this bauble, faux bauble, which is a tuck stitch. It's really interesting. So the way you do it is that you put the needle between the second and third stitch and you pull a loop through. You knit that loop and then you pass it over the next 2 stitches, and so you end up with kind of these 2 stitches being kind of like strangled by a loop of yarn around it. And especially in I don't know if it'll look the same in all yarns, but I've only swatched it in this kind of like lightly plied yarn gives a real like bobble effect. That was the idea. The other thing was that in the first one, the raglan it was just a 2 double rib raglan. I wanted to do a pearl stitch raglan, so like the 2 pearls of the ribbing to be the raglan, but I couldn't make it neat. So then I did it the knits, and I was like, it's also just a bit boring. Just not that fussed by it. So we went back to the drawing board. We reworked our design. We did a lot more swatching. We rethought the raglan. And I'm obsessed. Is that the right way around? There are short rows, but I don't actually know which way around the short rows are. This is the short row side, yeah, this is the front. Look at that. Sorry, my chair's creaking a bit as I'm moving around, so apologies if that's annoying anyone. Oh, I'm obsessed. I am truly a woman obsessed. I want this finished. No, that's not true. Okay, I want it finished because I want to wear this. I desperately want to wear this. Everything on my nails right now, except for probably my second version of NYX, the sort of blue green one, that feels very like urban chic, looking like a cool girl out in the town. Everything else is very indicative of the fact that I've just moved to a little coastal part of the country and we do like dog walks on the beach and it's getting chilly outside and it's just giving like cozy sweater weather. And this, oh, like this is just like, I am the coolest dog walker on the beach right now. I look chic and fabulous, but also I am so damn warm. That is what this feels like to me. So, as you can see, it's basically like panels of these textured pieces and it's ribbing and then baubles, and then I've been thinking of this as being like one section. So sorry, I'm not holding up very well. I've been thinking of this as being a section and then this as being a section. Each of those is about the same width. I guess technically they're like 1, 2, 3 stitch patterns, but in my head like I work this and then I work this. Firstly, it's 16 stitch gauge again, so it knits up pretty quickly, but there's something about the patches, like the stripes. I'm like, okay, I knit this many rows of ribbing. Okay, and then I knit this many rows of brocade, and then I did it. It's just so Moorish that this sweater, I know when people say this, like, oh, it knit itself. This sweater knit itself. This is the closest I think since like my first ever Tolsta, where I was like, whoa, wow, what is going on here? I blinked and it's done. But that's the other thing, is as much as I'm so excited to have the sweater finished and to wear it, I'm kind of sad because I don't want the sweater to be done. I don't want to stop knitting on this, and I'm already so excited for the second sample. Because I'm just excited, and I think for once I've ordered some yarn to swatch with. I can't quite work out what I want to do, and I think I'm going to wait for the test to start to see what other knitters pick, because I think I want like a caramel colour, and I'm like, everything else on my nails right now is that caramel colour, and I should steer clear. There's not that much. There's only one other thing. Maybe I'll go caramel. Maybe that's the answer. I'm talking myself into it as I'm here. But yeah, there are a few changes to the final pattern. The neckline on this is a little tight, so that's not a big fix to me. That's an easy fix, sorry. Oh yeah, the raglan, sorry. I should have talked about that first. The raglan ended up being a pearl raglan, but there's one of the knit stitches either side. So it ends up with this like quite interesting, like not crazy yet. The raglan's not crazy. It's just interesting. Now the yoke has been blocked, but the body and the sleeve have not been blocked, and you can kind of tell because the ribbing, the sleeve is the funniest, the ribbing like pulls in because it's ribbing and these do not. So I have like a bobbly little sleeve right now, which is quite funny. And yeah, I'm already a little ways, probably 8 centimetres or so into sleeve 2. And I didn't knit on this all day yesterday because I was knitting on my collar and I missed it. So I was saying the collar is a little bit tight on me. So I fixed this for the pattern. The pattern is written and it's gone to tech editing. That is how on it I am with this pattern. But it's quite easy. I just would start it further out. So I think it's just casting on 8 stitches more. Ultimately 8 stitches. I've just opened the neckline up so that it starts further down in the pattern repeat than where it currently does. And I think I'll add about 2 centimetres to the neckline, and that should make the neckline fit a lot better. What I will do is I'm gonna block this one and wear it, and see how I feel about the collar. If it's too tight and it's uncomfortable, I'm going to turn this into a rolled collar, so it will just be, I need to work out what it's going to be yet, and it might be high, because again, like cozy sweater weather, I might do that, but it's added at the end, so I've got options there, and it's not unreasonable, and I think after blocking it's going to be okay, but just I've got options there in case I've decided I'm not quite fussed about the collar. It's not so tight that I was like, I need to rip out the whole sweater to fix it. It was just tight enough that I was like, ugh, I'd rather a few extra centimetres in here, or like an extra centimetre. The other thing is that in the pattern, I've knit these baubles every 5 stitches, yeah. And in the pattern, I've moved to 6 stitches so that it is a more gradable stitch repeat. So right now, I think it's like a 12 stitch repeat. And if I'd done that way, it would have to be, I don't even know what, like a 40. I think it'd have to be a 40 stitch, a 40 stitch repeat. So by moving that to, because then it had to, the number, if I did it every 5 stitches, it has to be divisible by 4, by 6, and by 5. Is there a number smaller than 4? Is 40 divisible by 6? Jeez, you can tell it's early and my brain's not working. But this way, if the bubbles are every 6 stitches, then it only has to be divisible by 4 and by 6. And so it can be a 12 stitch repeat, and it means it's easier to grade, and it means that there can be more in between sizes. So yeah, as I said, it's with tech editing. Oh, 2 more things. Okay, it's with tech editing. I don't know when it's going to go into testing, but honestly, I'm kind of I'd rather just give testers more time. So as soon as, it's going to be a January pattern, but as soon as I have the pattern, I'm going to put the test call out, because I'd rather just have testers just have plenty of time. I mentioned I'm trying to get up to a 12 stitch repeat, 12 week test knit. And something interesting is I did the 6 season tester call, and it is the most number of applicants I've had for larger sizes, I think, ever. Usually when I get to the top couple of sizes, I have 1 or 2 for sizes like 8, 9, 10. And I think I have like 6 for size 8. So it's still not like, you know, I think for sizes 2 and 3, usually I get over 100, depending on the size of the test call. It can sometimes be like 400. But it's a big growth to go from 1 to 6 for the bigger sizes, and I'm really pleased to hear it. So I think I'm trending in the right direction. I'm hoping that wasn't just a one-off, and that'll keep happening. So my goal will be, despite the fact that I knit this almost whole thing in 2 weeks, it will be as soon as I have the tester call. So it could be 2 weeks today. It probably is meant to be mid or late October it's going into testing, but it probably will be my next podcast, maybe even next Friday, depending how organised I am. It has a name. It's called Staffin. Staffin. Staffin is a place on Skye, right in the north of Scotland, and I need to validate this, but my understanding is that both Staffin and Staffa is an island in Scotland, Staffin and Staffa are both named because they have these geometric columns, and in Staffa there's a very well-known example of it in Fingal's Cave. There's a song about Fingal's Cave. It's worth a Google if you're interested in having a look at it. They have these like upright columns. It kind of gives like a little bit Giant's Causeway vibes, but much smaller. And they also have them in Staffin on the coast. And I really like the idea of that, because these to me are like almost like columns. And someone said it looks like a Roman, like with the bubbles and the columns, it looks a little bit like a Roman column. I don't know which ones are. I went through a phase where I knew the different columns, like Doric and stuff, but I've forgotten what they all are, so I couldn't tell you anymore. So yeah, that is Staffin. It is knit up in, again, Rauma, this time Fivel. Thank you to people who let me know how it's pronounced. Last time I was like, is it Fivel? Is it Fivel? It's Fivel. And it is basically the same as Vams, but slightly thinner. It is, I think, 100 meters per 50 grams instead of 83 meters per 50 grams. And it's super nice. It's really lovely. I think that this, sorry, that's making a noise. I think that the yarn is one of the reasons it's knit up so quickly, because I've really enjoyed the process, both for the 6 season jacket and for this. It's been lovely for texture. So I'm curious to see what people think of it, and I'm curious to see what other testers use. But I really, really enjoyed it, and I'm torn between the second sample maybe being like a fingering and mohair. My current plan is like cobalt blue with fingering and mohair, or like a bright tomato red fingering and mohair. But I need to put some thought into it, honestly. It just needs a bit of thought. And if the test is nice and long, I will probably wait till the test is a little bit underway. I like knitting a sample with testers. It means a couple of things. Firstly, it's just nice to be still in it. I find that I can be a little bit like, once you've written a pattern, if it's 3 months plus until the pattern comes out, it can kind of not quite disengage your brain, but you're kind of onto the next thing a little bit. It's at least the way I work. Some people, I mean, I produce a lot of patterns because my brain will not stop, and I like it. But it means that like it's sometimes hard to stay engaged with the pattern if you finish your first sample like months ago. For me, I like to knit a sample with the testers because it means I'm like in it and it feels a bit like a knit along. And secondly, I usually means that I can do, it feels to me like a bit of a final sweep through the pattern, where if comments have been raised, I can knit that part, and like if I feel like, oh, this part's not quite clear, or like I'm not quite sure what I'm doing with this stitch, or you give me more information here or whatever, I can do that. So I can like, I think I work best by doing, And so it means I can like sweep through the pattern and like clear up any mistakes or any errors or anything that's been flagged as I'm going through the pattern, if that makes sense. Oh, one thing to add to this is like I would consider this to be very much inspired by quite a typical Gansey sweater. I feel like these bands of texture are very common in that kind of sweater, and I feel like I've been seeing a real trend in these in the last few years. I love them. I think they're really, really cool, but I want to do sort of a different take on it where instead of there being like lots and lots of different textures, it was just 2 or 3, and also raglan, because I feel like a lot of them are drop shoulder. But it's interesting to me because I posted this and I did get a comment from someone being like, this looks just like a petite knit sweater. And it definitely wasn't meant to be. I don't think, maybe I was insensitive, but it didn't feel like it was meant to be a compliment. But it's interesting because like it's definitely, there are 2 sweaters from petite knit that are kind of similar. There's the Ingrid and there's the Storm sweater. One of them's got the brocade, the diamonds, and one of them's got 2x2 ribbing. They're both drop shoulder and they're both a different gauge. But I think it's interesting that like a big designer like Petite Knit does it, and then if anyone else does it, it's like a copying thing when it's like sweater that's been around, the style has been around since knitting, basically. Pardon me. And I saw a lot of these sweaters last year. There's a beautiful one by, I've completely forgotten who it is. I get the picture a lot. I always get it as a Tribe Yarns, which makes me think it might be an Isire pattern. There's a picture of it that's stunning. I'm pretty sure Sari Nordland's got like Aurelia, is that what it's called? Which is again like a Gansey style, bands of texture. Stephen West got Dustland. Is that Stephen West? I think so. I just feel like it's tricky, I don't know if that's a word, but like if there's a style that's existed for quite a while and then it's like your take on it, but someone's already done it, then it's like, that looks just like such and such. I don't think it does, but I'm curious to know people's thoughts on it. I'm trying to make a fairly conscious effort. Like I feel like copying is such a hard thing to come people inevitably, especially if you're interpreting. I think I have quite a classic taste and I like to do like slightly traditional things with a bit more modern twist. And so I don't think I ever come across, like, I don't think I have patterns that are 1000% truly unique. And that's because I love making things that are wearable, and I feel like I'm not the first person to think a stitch pattern or a style is a particularly wearable thing. But I have so far, touch wood, God, I'm cursing myself by saying this, never had some like crazy big copying scandal. And I think it's just because I fully accept that like trends come, and also knitting as an art that like there are some really, I think about people like Junko Okamoto. I can't remember if it's Otomoto or Okamoto, I think it's Okamoto. Truly unique, like really, really out there. Or So Knitwear, who like side to side, who knits things across the way. Like I think if you're in that space, you're doing truly unique, absolutely stunning, like never before seen, very interesting stuff. But other than that, like we're using similar stitch patterns, we're using similar constructions, we're all kind of using the same kind of yarn. Things are going to start, becomes a twist on different things. And there are designers out there who truly are making a whole living out of beautifully classic stockinette sweaters, and they just got like a little detail here, like a little back detail, a little bit of an edging, and it's totally fine. So yeah, I just thought it was interesting. Don't really have anything else to say about it. Like I don't really have a conclusion or a wrap up to that, but it's the first time I think I did have one person reach out about stick season who was also a designer, and I think I talked about that on the podcast, who said I have a similar t-shirt, like it's in Just So You Know, and it was also like a texture joke and a plain body, but again it's a Gansey style, so like we talked about it and they were like, yeah, I don't think you copied me, I've not copied you, it's all good. But I don't know, I think it's interesting. I was saying that with like no conclusion, no end point. On this note, I think I'm making a shawl in this stitch pattern. I think I've talked about before, I don't love shawls, I don't mind like jam, but every once in a while I really feel like a shawl. And I love the stitch pattern so much, and it's knit up so enjoyably, that I thought this could be one that would be a good contender for the shawl. So I've got the yarn for it. It's in my giant, these are both Strikke Feber, oh okay. The yarn from Explorer Knits for this knits and my other knits are both gifted as part of the collaboration. Nothing else was gifted. Everything else I paid for. I need to be better at being really, really clear about that. But yeah, all the yarn from Explorer Knits that I've talked about or shown today was sent to me free of charge as part of a collaboration. As like yarn support, I think is what it's generally referred to. But nothing else, bags or whatever. Let's have a quick look around to make sure that's true. Everything else I paid for. This bag here and this giant bag here are both from Strikkefeber, I think is how you pronounce it. It's a very cool Norwegian yarn shop. I got all the way to the checkout with a new one of these bags the other day and I was like, no, you don't need it, Rebecca, back off. But still considering it. These ones are made out of recycled saris, which I think is very cool. So, new to me yarn, Manchelopi. If you've been here since the beginning, we've been through the Lopi scenario before. Not the biggest Lopi person, if I'm honest. I'm curious to see how this is going to go, but we've tried it. We're going to see how it goes. We've got this white colour and we've got this green colour. My plan is to do 2 different sizes, and I will cast it on as soon as I get my other one, my second sleeve finished. This I think will be my in-between project, and I'll start the second one once the test net is well underway, like probably like November. So it's very, very soft. I've got nothing to say about this other than it has arrived. I don't really, I've stayed clear of Istex for a couple of years now. I knit 2 Istex Let Lopi sweaters and they're too rough for me. That's my limit. That is my 2 scratchiness. And they're lovely and they're both colour work and they were quite nice to knit. I don't remember any issues with knitting of them, but I cannot wear them unless I'm wearing like a turtleneck underneath, because any part where that yarn touches my skin is itchy. I've got some plans later this year about a sample sale, and I think they will be included. I don't think I'll be keeping on to them. So I was a little bit hesitant. I don't think Pluto Lopi, which is the unspun, is maybe as itchy as Let Lopi, but I honestly can't remember. It's been a long time since I touched it. There are a couple of others. There's obviously Nutidin, which I gather every single base is a little bit different. So like you're not guaranteed, it's not necessarily the same level of scratch. And then this one is a fairly new to the market. Manchelopi is from Wooldreamers. They've got a couple of really nice bases. I tried Sayona for some swatching this summer, which is a cotton base. They've also got Mota, which looks very cool. There's a very nice red colour in that one. And this is Manchelopi. It's from the Manchego, like the cheese sheep breed. Am I making all this up? Maybe, honestly, maybe. And like every other unspun, it has basically no structural integrity until it's knit up. It breaks very readily. It can be, I think it's maybe like, I think they actually put in their description, I can't even work out where the ends of this are. Sorry, that's what I'm currently sitting here trying to work out. Like they're just bits coming off and I don't know why. I'm sure in the description of this, I bought it from Tribe Yarns. The description says like, force yourself to slow down to get the experience of the knitting, because you can't go fast, because if you're not mindful, the yarn will just break. I'm saying this out loud and I'm not looking forward to this experience, but I feel like once I cast it on it could be fine. Once I cast it on I hope I'll be fine, we'll see. And that's all I've got to say, I think. It'll be cast on pretty soon. This is enough for there's gonna be, I said 2 sizes, this will be a large size, I think it's 3 balls. Maybe 4 actually. This will be the smaller one. And yeah, they're very soft. That's what I was going to say, sorry, that's my last thing. They're very, very soft. No prickle. Like really just feels like a felt. Yeah, super, super soft. So we'll see. We'll see. Okay, one more thing and then we're getting on to acquisitions. Although I've already shown one of my acquisitions. I'm so excited about this one. We're in the same realm of very excited about texture. Very in the so what we've been doing a lot is during the week we go to the beach for the dog walks, or there's a park quite close by, so we go to the beach or the park. And then on a Saturday, we don't have a car. We're kind of on the fence about getting a car. We live in a city, we don't really need a car. The parking here is crazy, hard to get space, and also a car is expensive. But we like to go places with the car. So what we have here, and I'm sure in other places, is a car club situation where we can pay a fee and then we can book a car for like a number of hours. And so usually on a Saturday morning we book a car for like 4 hours and we go and take the dog to one of the really, really amazing country parks around the city. There are so many really great ones and they are incredible. They're just like forest sections, usually with like there's some river or nice ponds. Often they're in like an estate. So for example, there's like Dalkeith, which is a really good one, and it's got like a country manor in it. They're really, really good and they're very optimised for dog walking. And they're usually like a 20-minute drive, like a 20 to 40-minute drive away. And they're just like proper good country walks. And right now, the weather's taking a turn. It's been cold and crispy and like we're going through the forest and the manor house is there. And this has all been very inspiring. All I'm trying to say is I'm very inspired by dog walks right now. And this is not crazy dog walk friendly, but it's giving weekend walks on a country estate with a pub at the end and a pint and a pie. I don't know. I've also basically forever wanted a classic clay walnut sweater. I've made some attempts in the past and we're getting there, but I was craving some classic cables. And I feel like with cables, in a way that doesn't happen with other things, I feel like with other things there's a lot more thought where I'm like, okay, like let's consider doing this. Cables just like reach up behind me and grab me without me thinking, and I see the entire finished thing in my head and I'm like, that's what I need to make. That is it. Happened with Lauder. Wasn't in the planning, wasn't meant to happen. Saw the 2 and 3 and thought drop shoulder, and I was like, I'm casting that on right now. And that's what's happened with this, to be perfectly honest. Here are my swatches. This is my very first swatch. So we've got honeycomb cables. Oh, I'm talking about cables next week. We've got a cable video coming next week. We've got a little simple 4-stitch cable, and then we've got some moss stitch. This is really nice. This is pure Gynt with the tweed. I'm a big fan. And then this is my second swatch. Same thing again. I had to do some numbers for this. It's a raglan. And oh, I got a cross-legged, we're just digress, but I got a cross-legged office chair for this office and it's amazing. If there are people out there who I just don't like sitting regularly. I don't like it. I like my feet up. I like I really like sitting cross-legged. And I don't really like office chairs for that purpose, but this one is a cross-legged office chair, so it's just a regular office chair, but it's really, really wide, so I can sit on it cross-legged, and I love it. Would recommend if anyone's in the market. I just got mine from Amazon. Amazon's problematic, I'm fully aware of that, but I got it from Amazon. Where I was at, sweater. I had to do some maths before I cast this on because it's a raglan. There were some elements I wanted, so I knew I wanted like a lot of honeycomb, but also like a cable at the edge, but otherwise fairly simple. So I needed to work out. Sometimes with raglans, if it's a small stitch pattern, I can just cast on and we can hope for the best. I did that, for example, with Staffin. I was pretty confident I could make those numbers work, and I kind of knew where I was getting up to, and I kind of knew the yoke depth, but I was also kind of like, let's just go and see what happens. This one I knew the math had to come first. So I sat down last weekend and did the math. And here we are. I want to eat this. I think it's because it looks like a waffle. But yeah, this is what we have. Not very much, to be honest. It's quite a lot of work. Cables are a lot of work. I love it though, for some reason. Really, really Moorish. So we have some honeycomb cables on the backs and on the fronts. And then the front also has this little braid that we saw. There's some braids coming elsewhere. And then I've done a raglan technique that I want to try for a while, which you can kind of see here, which makes this kind of interesting. There's technically a pearl stitch in there, but it makes this kind of fun sort of statement raglan. So yeah, it's getting blown out a little bit with the light. It is knit up in, the bag is conveniently right next to me. I did not plan this. I can't find the matching mohair. There we go. This was not my yarn plan, but I was desperate to cast this on and they didn't have the colour, they didn't have the yarn I was looking for. So I kind of ended up just picking what I thought would work. and I'm delighted with it accidentally, but like very accidentally delighted. So this is Filcolana Peruvian Highland Wool in the colour Red Squirrel, and this is Knitting for Olive Mohair in the colour Rust. They're a little bit like, this has got a bit reddierness, a bit deeper than this, and it has created a real sort of like burnished look. I like that when the mohair is a bit richer than the base colour. The mohair adds this sort of like obviously it's already 3D, but it really makes it pop in a different way, and that's happened here. Not on purpose, very accidental. And I'm just obsessed with this. I think it's so interesting and so cool. My plan is to get the yoke done because I need to make sure the neckline isn't too wide. That is where I'm at right now. And for once I have like consciously considered, it's not just being like, oh, I could add an option. Oh, I'll add an option. I've really thought about the fact that Lauder was probably maybe, I'm thinking about Tulsa Tank was also popular. The Lauder and the Tulsa Tank were my most popular patterns this year to date from January onwards. And Lauder took me, like, surprised me how popular it was. And I think it was so popular because there were so many options. People really felt like, well, I'm paying for a lot, like I'm getting a lot out of this. And that is, so when I thought about this one, I thought, okay, well, let's stick with that plan, like that template. And so Lauder did have 2 neckline options. This is only going to have a round neck option, but it is going to have a sweater, a cardigan and a vest. And they're going to be, there's a little bit of a different, the cardigan's going to have this like braid, like a 4-stitch cable either side of the button band that the sweater will not have. It'll just be all over honeycomb. But otherwise, like, they're all going to be very similar, of the same family, but I'm going to put all 3 in the same pattern again. And yeah, I think I like having patterns with options, but I think also, like, I get quite a lot of praise for this, and I'm glad that people enjoy it, but it has also been a good business move because I think that sometimes people will buy a pattern because they're like, I'm getting a lot of bang for my buck. With Lauder, I think there were some people who thought, that's 6 patterns for the price of 1. I may not knit it right now, but I'll purchase it right now. And I think that did well for me. Like, I think it's a good thing. And so I love adding options because I think people, it means lots of different people. Like, if I think of stick, I'm just so rambly today. If I think of the stick season jacket, the person who knits the short, cropped, no texture version is might not be the same person that knits the full length shawl collar wraparound one. Like I said, I'm knitting that version for my mum because I don't think I'm a shawl collar knitter. I'm not the person who would wear that, like, reach for that every day. I'm not like, oh, I'm missing that in my wardrobe. Now I'm knitting it, I want one. But like, that doesn't appeal to me in the same way. But how cool is it that you could buy a pattern and there are, in that one, many combinations where you think, I'll buy a pattern and maybe I'll knit one for myself and knit one for a friend and gift one and or like, I don't know, I think that's a very cool way to do things, and I like you get more bang for your buck, but I do also think it makes good business sense for me, and I think it's something that the goodwill behind it, people respect my way of doing things, and I think it's done me well, so I'm going to keep doing it basically. But this is the first time that I've really thought, like, I think it will help the pattern, instead of just thinking I'll add more options because people like options. I've really thought about this one and thought, actually, Lauder did well financially, it sold more copies than I was expecting. Let's also make sure this one has plenty of options in the hope that it means the pattern will do well. There we go. So yeah, it's going again. I've not touched it in a few days. My goal is to get the yoke done by the end of this weekend and get it blocked and see how we're doing. As I'm a little bit, cables can really like, so I just want to make sure that this neckline isn't going to be huge. And the slightly nervous thing about cardigans is that all the finishing is at the end, at least the end of the body. So I need to knit the whole body before I can knit the collar. With a sweater, I could knit the yoke, knit the collar, try it on and see. And I cannot do that with this one. But I feel like the cardigan, my thought is probably that I could knit the cardigan and the vest before I did a test call. And I could probably start the collar of the sweater to show people what the yoke would look like, but I don't think I'm finishing 3 full sweaters by then. And I'd like to knit the yoke of the sweater at the same time as the test. I'd like to knit the sweater with the test knit. And so I thought, well, let me do the cardigan, because it's a bit different, and the vest. So that's why I need the cardigan first. But it is more challenging because I don't know until it's fully blocked if the neckline is going to sit the way I want it to. So that's where we're at. I think I'm going to knit on this today. I want to knit on Staffin today. I want to knit everything. I want 100 hands. It's quite nice. I'm really, really on top of my admin at the minute, so I'm not on top of my house. Looking at the pile of everything here, but I'm on top of my knitting right now. My admin right now, which means I can put some time into knitting. And I feel like it's been probably 3 months since I felt like I was getting as much knitting time as I like. And we're getting back to there. It's not quite there yet. That's what I get for podcasting before I finish my coffee, and this early in the morning. It's not that early, it's like 9 AM. Okay, let's do acquisitions. I left it all over there. Everything has a plan. So yesterday, the most expensive yarn order I ever have ordered in my life arrived. I think it was. I'm pretty sure it is. It was, I believe, like 58 skeins of yarn. It's a lot of yarn, and it's slightly nerve-wracking. The postman came looking a bit confused at these 2 giant bags of yarn. They're all from knit.co.uk, and I've been anxiously awaiting a restock of Sandnesgarn Pure Gynt. And I have 2 designs. So firstly, the cable knit sweater version that I've just shown you, I want that to come in Pure Gynt and Mohair, and another design that I've got that I'm swatching for. And I think I've been refreshing the page like every day for 2 weeks, and everywhere else in the UK went out of stock. And I think I probably did a little bit of anxious ordering where I thought, like, let's get this yarn now. I know I'm going to need it in the next like 6 weeks. So order it now, and then I have it and I'm ready to go. But it meant a lot of yarn came. So yeah, the first thing is my my Pure Gynt, sorry. There is a Petite Knit Pure Gynt, this is not the Petite Knit one. It is in the colour Marzipan. It's like, this is a really obvious word, yeah. And the matching Mohair. This is Tynn Silk Mohair, yeah. Which, I've mentioned this before, but the Mohair from Sandnesgarn has 15% wool in it, which I quite like. It means it's not quite as like silky. There's a big black guard here in it, like woven in. There we go. You see that? No. Anyway, it's got 15% wool in it, which I really like. I love holding this with alpaca. 100% alpaca. It's such a nice blend. But yeah, I'm going to try these together. I thought if I'm going to make a cable knit sweater, I made like a white one, but it was still kind of rustic, and I made a white Dorney, and it's, like I say, rustic. I wear it to the boat a lot. Like it's not like a fancy cable knit sweater. It's not like a chic one. It's pretty rustic, and I like to throw it on, but not for, like, I'm not wearing it for a night with my jeans to wear for coffee. And then I made a white lauder, but I gave it to my mum. Like, that was my mum's sample. She did the pictures with me, and so I'm awaiting my like cream coloured sweater, and I'm gonna make it happen with these 2. Then the next thing was my rust for my Vams in the colour rust, I think. Maybe the colour orange. For my 3rd 6 season sample. So this is going to be the one with the textured yoke and not textured body. Maybe with a jacket collar. TBD on the collar. And then my last thing is some work yarn in this colour. This colour is Regatta Blue. It is not very well stocked. There are maybe 4 or 5 places that I can order Sandnesgarn from, and only one of them stocked this colour, and they were out of stock. So this is the one I was really waiting for. This is the reason I placed the giant order, and everything else was kind of around it. But I did a very fun swatch a while ago in half fisherman's rib with this like interesting moving bits, and I think this is going to become a cardigan. I know it's going to become a cardigan unless I massively change my mind and start it and think I hate it. But yeah, I am enjoying half fisherman's rib. It's been a while. Yes, Rebecca, you have a whip in half fisherman's rib that you've not touched in 3 months. Maybe knit that first. Who said that? Who said that? But yeah, this is going to come at some point. These panels are going to be thicker. It's just a little practice test to see if the stitch pattern worked the way I thought it would. And yeah, I'm not even like, it's planned in the sense of like I can see it coming, it's on the horizon, I can see like the general shape, I know of its existence. It's a cardigan. I kind of know the stitch pattern. There's no more thought being put into it than that. And there will not be no more thought into that for a while. I've mentioned before that I use a spreadsheet. I think I've mentioned this. I use a spreadsheet to plan my knitting. And I use a Gantt chart for anyone who knows what a Gantt chart is. It's like a sliding scale of deadlines, and I have almost every pattern as a project. And then I have a timeline for pattern development, grading and admin time, and then test knit time. And I usually work back from the end deadline that I intend to publish things from, because I generally publish a pattern a month with a couple months off a year, because I have so many... People are like, you don't need to release one a month. I know, I don't need to. I have so many ideas. Try and stop me. Try to make these stay on my brain. They're like banging on the inside of my skull asking me to knit them. And so, for example, if I know a pattern is coming out, so if it's coming out in January, and I think, okay, that's 4 weeks on from the last test knit, the last release date, which is fine. That gives me time to like, well, do marketing and talk about it and take the pictures and things. Okay, if I'm doing 12 weeks before that, this is fine. It needs maybe 2 weeks in grading and admin, fine. And then I want 8 weeks of development, fine. At that point, we're talking just about 6 months, 5.5, 6 months. And so I know when I need to start thinking more seriously about a design, but for right now, it's still so far off that I don't need to properly think about it. So like, I think I'm that way until June. Actually, theoretically, I know what's coming out next September. But I will change my mind before then. But yeah, I have like so basically like as things come closer, they become more into focus. And so that is where it goes. So I knew that I wanted to do a cable knit raglan in February, but I hadn't really worked out what that cable knit raglan was going to be, and I'd done some swatching, and there was some like active planning of it, and then all of a sudden I was like, no, this is what I want to do. I'm doing this one. So yeah, wrapping up with a personal life update, what is going on with me. So we're doing pretty well in the new house. We have got a lot of stuff unpacked, but there's still a lot of stuff still not unpacked. But we've both got quite a lot of time off in October, so the plan is that October is our month for getting sort of bigger bits of stuff done. So things like, I said I want shelving in this wardrobe for my sweaters. We're going to fit some bookshelves downstairs. We've got to like replace some door handles and like really nice boring stuff. And I'm hoping that by the end of October we're in a place where I feel like all the bigger, longer term projects are like, I think we'll know what we want to tackle next, but we'll be in a place where we're not waiting. We're not like, oh, we still need to fix this or we still need to do this. We'll be like, okay, this is our home now, and let's think about what improvements we want to make. But we've done most of the stuff, and hopefully most of our stuff is unpacked at that point. Last weekend I had my delayed birthday party. My birthday was at the end of August, but I do a murder mystery party every year. This is the 5th year we've done it, and everyone had other stuff going on. I was moving, my sister was moving, my parents were in Australia for a funeral. It was all very sudden, and so we decided to delay the murder mystery, and as a result my mum and I had our birthdays together, which is very fun. And so we did a murder mystery last weekend. I was Marilyn Gung Ho, which was Marilyn Monroe, who was also very good at martial arts, and who carried nunchucks. So that was fun. I wore a blonde wig. It was great. And other than that, we have some very, very quiet weeks coming up, and I'm really looking forward to it. Things are starting to get to a slightly better pace. We've still got some stuff going on, but you know, generally I think some of the big things that were stressing me out a little bit are starting to subside. And we're getting really into the cozy sweater weather of everything, and I'm in a good place, I think. I'm in a good place. I've got some more frog in my throat. I've got some more merch stuff to talk about next time, including I shared some hats last time. The hats are not sticking around. I'll explain more on that next time, and I'll share some t-shirts, and hopefully by next time I'll also have a release date for the merchandise, which is going to be 2 t-shirts, and I think they're going to be out in October. And I think that's everything from me. I'm going to be back next week with a video all about cable knitting and some cable knit patterns and people to look at for cable knits. And that's all for me. I need to go put all these sweater's back. I'm going to sit and finish off my shawl collar and finish my coffee, and hope you have a great weekend. I'll be back soon. Happy knitting!